Good morning, everyone. Hope all is well. Hope everyone's doing all right. All right, still see one or two connecting. Before we get rolling, anybody have any general questions or concerns? Everybody good? Everybody okay? All right. Okay, so last class we did 10-1 up to 10-3. Should be looking at 10-4 today. Second. Problems and applications. Okay. Sorry, guys, trying to make sure I label the stuff right. So solve percent problem using equations. And that is 101.
Mr. Tucker.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Good morning. I'm
Good
sorry, I
morning.
wanted to ask this question before we got started.
Mm-hmm.
The test that's posted, it has a 12/17 due date. And I know it's not December 17th. It is actually September 17th, correct?
No, I actually haven't put a date on that yet. Did I put a date on it for you guys yet? Let me
I
see.
think I think
I think it
somebody
was,
did. I'm looking at the wrong thing.
no. I think the date I need to put up there for you guys is 9/19.
9/19.
Yeah, and I just
Okay.
haven't changed it yet.
That one is due. It's due September 19th.
Yeah, I'm looking at the dates now.
Am I
I,
looking at the correct thing? The tests were 2 and 3, correct?
yeah, I haven't changed it yet.
So
Okay.
the
Mhm.
test, so the test is in math lab, right?
Yes.
Oh, I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Okay, thank you.
But yes, going back to your question, I haven't changed that yet. It should say 12. I say 12, 12, 12, 17. That's just the last day of class. Um, I need to change it. And I think what I told you guys was 9/19.
Okay.
But if I hadn't said anything, that's still like that's not this Sunday, that's next Sunday. So that still should be
Right.
a good cushion for you guys for that
Yes.
first test. Say again?
And of course, all of the home. I'm sorry. It's rude to keep talking with the camera on. I'm sorry.
Oh
So
no,
of
you're
course,
fine.
all of the homework is due at that time as well. Correct?
Yes. So we're
Okay.
looking at 2 and 3, chapters 2 and 3,
Okay.
and that first test will be due. And I'll change the dates to the 19th. Mhm.
Okay. All right. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, not a problem. Not a problem. All right. So I was just trying to label this stuff right. Because remember they end up switching books on me. So I'm trying to get this stuff right for you guys. So really looking at what they have now, you don't have to do solving percent proportions. We are looking at solving percent equations. So let me go in there and make sure I have enough examples for you guys. See if there's anything different than that. Okay, got what is, so I need another one. We're gonna walk through it in a second, guys. Just want to get some more examples. All right, so this is 10.4. We're starting with 10.4. And we're doing solving percent with equations or using equations. So the way they have it is that they'll give you a statement, a question like this. It says 18 is 21% of what? And so we have keywords that are going to represent our symbols in our equations. So is always your equal sign. Your percent, don't forget to convert to decimal. So we talked about that last class, moving your decimal 2 places to the left. Yeah, 2 places to the left. And of always represents multiplication in mathematics. And then what is going to be a variable, which normally we would use X. All right. So when I go to set up that question as an equation, we can do it this way. 18 is 18, but once again, is your equal sign. 21% converted to a decimal by moving the 2 places to the left. So that's what we did here. Of is multiplication. And then what is our variable? All right, make sure we are okay with the translation. So this is what we have. 18 is equal to 0.21x. 0.21x is 0.21 times x. Divide by the 0.21. X is equal to 85.71. Also, always make sure you pay attention to your decimals. You know, my math lab will let you know which decimal to round to. All right, questions on that first one. And all of them fit the same format, just that the words may be different, but the symbols are going to be the same, and we just translate it in the same fashion. All right, so let's look at the next one. Here it says, what is 79% of 80? So what is our variable? Is the equal sign, 79%. Decimal 2 places to the left would be 0.79. Of is multiplication. 80 is 80. So in this case, since x is already on one side of the equation by itself, we don't have to solve for x. All we have to do is multiply 0.79 and 80 together, and that'll give us 63.2. All right, any problems? Make sure we're good. All right, let's look at another one. Is what? So let's do this one. All right, this time we're looking at 26 is what percent of 40? All right, so 26 is, or what is the percent this time of its multiplication? And then 40. All right, any problems with what we have before we solve it? So divide by 40. X is equal to 0.65. And then also make sure you're careful on my math lab. If they want the percentage, then make sure you convert it to a percent. Move your decimal 2 places to the right. So either one of these are fine. Just depends on how they want it. You know, if they put the box and then put percent like that, then they expect you to put percentage in that box. So they will expect 65. So if you were to put 0.65, you know, they can tell you, they either mark it wrong or tell you, you know, convert to a percentage, you know, as a hint or something like that. But yeah, so just make sure you're careful in how they set up the problem.
The dollar sign has nothing to do with the answer.
No, as a matter of fact, let me make sure in the problem, because that 40 should have been a dollar sign as well, if I'm not mistaken. Yep, that should have been a dollar sign right there. So when you know, so those dollar signs would have ended up canceling out. So yep. Good question. Good question. Thank you for that.
So for this question,
Yes, sir.
without direction on like what Math Lab is going to tell us to do, would this one, without that little box and the little percent sign on the side, which one, either one would be the acceptable answer? Or
if it didn't have the box, because what I saw was the box with the percent on the sign, but I was trying to set you up for something that I didn't see. If it didn't have the box, then the 0.65 should be the answer. You know what I mean? Because there's no percentage out there. There's no percentage on the outside of the box. So just the answer itself would have been fine.
okay.
Yeah. But if they put that percentage out there, then they expect you to write this as the percentage.
Okay.
Yep.
Is that considered simplifying or something when you change it? Like if they said simplify?
Nah, it's just one written in decimal and one written in fraction form. So that's not even considered that, you know, whether it's 65 or 0.65, that's as simple as it gets. And it just depends on what form of you want your answer in.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, let's do at least one more, but all of it is the same in this section. All of it is the same flow. They give you this question and you rewrite it as an equation, then solve. So we got percentage says of what, but no, I had another one. Let's go is what. Okay. All right, so we have 180% of 20 is what? So move your decimal 2 places to the left, that'll be 1.8. Multiplication, 20 equal sign X. So this is another scenario in which X is on one side by itself already, so we don't have to do any solving, just calculate what we have over here. So 1.8 times 20 is 36. So X is equal to 36. All right, so questions on that section. All right. So this should be 10-6, not 4-6. Next one, applications of percent. All right, so it says Frank earns 400. Oh, not 400. I was looking at the 400 because I wanted to write that 4 better in the hundreds place, but 41,400 1 year and receives a 5% raise in salary. What is this new salary? All right, let me do this way. So once again, Frank earns 41,400 1 year and receives 5% raise in the new salary. What is this new salary? All right. So when we look at earning new money, right? Most of us know how to calculate that, whether they put it to an equation or not. But the initial setup, we know we have an original amount that we're getting paid. Then we're gonna have a raise. You're gonna add that to your original pay, and then you get the new pay. All right. So that's the thought process. So we need an algebraic representation for each one of these 3 pieces. We have 3 pieces here: original pay, raise, and then new pay. So we need an algebraic representation for each one. All right. So you have your original pay, which is 41,400. So that's easy. All right. Now you get a 5% raise in salary. Well, 5% of what? Now, 5% normally does not stand alone. It has to be multiplied by something. You wouldn't just put 5% right here. It has to be 5% of something. And we just mentioned how 5% of means 5% times. Of means multiplication in mathematics. So this 5% has to be multiplied to the original pay. You know, that's the only thing that existed before this moment. You know, before you knew you were going to get a raise, you had your original pay, and then you get a 5% raise. Well, it's 5% of the original pay. And that's how we represent that right there. 0.05 times 41,400. And don't forget, as always, if you're going to calculate what percentage, you got to turn that to a decimal. So we move the decimal 2 places to the left. So multiply that 0.05 times 41,400. That get that 2070, and then add that to 41,400, and you get 43,470.
So if we have a question that's dealing with money and we don't put money in the answer sign, is it gonna be marked wrong?
It shouldn't. I don't think they stick that true to dollar signs. But I don't think I mentioned this because we haven't really officially done a test yet. So, but especially when it comes to tests, if you were to put something in a test and it was marked wrong, but you feel like it was right, always go back and check your answers because then you'll know. You don't have to feel like it was right. But you know that it was right. But let's say you left off the dollar sign, something like that. I can adjust the scores accordingly, but I wouldn't know unless you tell me. So once you take a test, always make sure you go back in there and review and make sure everything was done properly. If it's just syntax error or you feel like you could have got partial, something like that. If you have a question on anything, make sure you email me because I can adjust scores. Once again, I'm not combing all throughout tests trying to figure out where can I add points. I wouldn't know unless you guys tell me. All right. Questions on this before we do another one? All right. So here we have in an office building, 50 offices are currently being rented. This represents 40% of the total units. How many offices are there in the building? So I'll give you a chance to write that down. All right. So another way we can set up our equations to do our percent problems, we can do PBA. Percent times the base is equal to the amount. Your base is your total, and your amount normally represents your part, the part. And of course, P is your percent. So let's make the connection here. So in an office building, 50 offices are currently being rented. This represents 40% of the total number of units. So when we look at, when we look at PBA, 40%, that's obvious, that goes to our P. Now, we don't know what the total number of units are, so that would be our X. And 50 represents part of that total. 50 are the number of offices being rented, but then there's a total number of units altogether. So it's just about you going through the problem. If you want to use PBA, percent times base is equal to amount. You just going through and making sure you know which piece goes to which. P is obvious, your percentage. Then you have your total versus your amount. You establishing what number is your total number of units versus what number is the part that you're referencing. In this case, our total is going to be your unknown, your variable. That's what we're trying to find out. Once you establish that, you can go ahead and plug them in accordingly. 0.4 would be P times X equal to A, which is 50. Divide by 0.4, total number of units, 125.
Got a question.
Yes, sir.
So you said the B is the base
Mm-hmm.
and the B is X, but the amount, and then you got in green says part.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't
So-
fit, why wouldn't 50 be the base if there's 50, we know, like, there's 50 units. Why wouldn't 50 be the base?
Well, 50 represents the number of office units that are being rented. But the total number of units are the rented and the unrented. See what I mean? So when we solved it, we found out that there's 125 units in the building altogether. Only 50 of them are being rented. That makes sense? Or
I mean, the math makes sense. I just didn't get the why we labeled which one. Because if I'm doing this without you, I want to make sure I'm clear on which one to put where.
Right.
Because this PBA just do something new in there for me.
So it's all about your total. Well, it depends on what you want to call it. If you want to call it PBA, that's fine, or percent times your total is equal to your part. I mean, if you want to use it that way, it's the same thing. But the main thing is you have to make sure that, you know, these two are deciphered accordingly. So like I said, the percent part is pretty much self-explanatory, but recognizing what number represents the total number of units or the total number of whatever you're dealing with versus the number that represents the part or the partial. So like I said, when you go back to this one in particular, there are 50 offices that are being rented. So that's only part of all of the offices in that building.
Okay, I get it now. I got
Yeah,
you.
and so that's what we're talking about, the part. Yeah.
I got you.
All right, so let's do another one. Was everybody good with that one before we scroll up? Let me just scroll up. All right. So here we have an Olympic team that consists of 145 members. Approximately 43.2% of the athletes are men. How many men are on the team? So this one, we have a team that consists of 145 members. So totally, we have 145 members. And then they say 43% of them are men. So how many are men? So that means that 43 or that men is part of it. Because, you know, if you have 145 members, that means part of them are going to be men, part of them are going to be women. And we want to know how many women are on the team. So that's why we let X represent the part. And then 145 is the total. All right. Is everybody okay with the establishment of which is the part, which is the total? Everybody good? Once you've done that, then you go ahead and set it up. You know, your percent times your total is equal to your part or your amount. You know, if we're doing PBA, percent times base times amount is the situation in which X is on one side by itself. So all we have to do is multiply these two numbers together, and that'll give us 62.64. All right. So now, this is one of the ones that you always have to pay attention to your directions, and it should have said something along the lines in the direction. We would round to nearest whole number or something along those lines. And the reason they would have said that is because there's no such thing as a 0.64 of a man. You know, because in this case, we're dealing with men or people, in other words. So there's no such thing as 0.64 of a person. So they would have told you to round that to the nearest whole number. And that's why it went to 63.
But if we were talking about something else, it's okay to leave the decimal?
It's possible. It is possible. But it's always in the context of whatever they're talking about. Same thing. Let's go back to the office buildings. Like there's no such thing as 0.64 of an office building. So that they would have rounded that up as well. Now, if you were calculating the percentage though, they would have left the percentage as a decimal. So it always depends on what you're trying to find and what in the context of what you're looking at. All right. Questions, any questions? Let's see if I can find one more good one. This a raise one again. Got that one. Okay, let's do this one. And so, yeah. So we'll save that for next class. So next class, we'll look at 10-7 and 10-8. There's no rush that we have to do it today. So I'll do at least one more of these word problems, see if anybody have any questions, and then go from there. But we can save those for next class. Come on, let's go. All right, there we go. Matter of fact. Back here. Yeah. Nice. All right. So in a given year, residents of a country spent approximately 53.8 billion on their pets. Of this amount, 16.5 billion was spent on veterinarian bills. What percent of the total was spent on veterinarian care or veterinary care? All right. So it tells us that we have 53.8 billion spent on pets of a certain in a certain country. Of this amount, 16.5 billion was spent on veterinarian bills. So we see that we have this larger amount and a smaller amount. So we have 53.8 billion is spent on pets. 6.5 billion of it is spent on vet bills. So that means our total is at 53.8, and then the part is 16.5. Then it says what percent of the total was spent on vet care. So we're looking at X times 53.8 equal to 65. I said 65, 16.5. All right, any problem with the setup? So divide by 53.8 to solve for X. X is equal to 0.30. Convert to a percentage, 30.7%. Okay, so in the directions, it said round to the nearest tenth. So, and it gave it to you like this. They had the box with the percentage on the outside. So took my decimal 2 places over. So we want to talk about the whole process. It's like that. Once you convert to a decimal, convert to a percent, then it's 30.7%.
So the biggest problem I'm having is like, so before you get to your answers, when you start writing you're in red. So I try to go ahead of you, and I set the thing up wrong.
Okay.
Like that's like my biggest problem is
So right here.
no, to the right of that. Like, so just setting it up. So I got the green part right. Like,
Okay.
I got exactly what that was. But then I put X equals some, you know what I mean? I was going to multiply the other number, or, you know what I mean? I don't know what I do.
Right. So make sure you hold true to the relationship is P times B equal to A.
Okay, so that's a constant.
Yes, yes, yes. That's all. That's why we're establishing what is P, what is B, what is A, because it's always going to be that relationship. P times B equal to A. Yep.
All right, thank you.
Yep, not a problem. And there's different ways of manipulating that, but if you hold true to that one, it'll always be good. So you don't have to worry about other ways, you know. All right. Questions? Any questions? All right. So like I said, that's 2 sections. Like I said, we don't have to rush and fill up the whole class of new material. That's 2 sections right there. Should be enough to chew on. Next class, we'll look at 10.7 and 10.8. And then we'll talk about what we're going to do for that, for the rest of the chapter, 10 and all the good stuff like that. Once again, like your classmate mentioned, as far as due dates is concerned, I put 9/19 out there for chapter 2 and chapter 3's stuff. That's a Sunday. So 11:59, once it turns into Monday, it will, close you out. So make sure you're not playing around with it around 11:50-ish or whatever. Make sure you're done. And then if you have issues with anything, have questions or whatever, if you get caught by the due date, it's better to talk to me about getting an extension versus just taking zeros, because it's hard to make up zeros. So don't take zeros if you don't have to. Shoot me that email and we can work something out. But that is our due date as of this moment for chapter 2 and chapter 3's content. Okay. Questions on anything? Any questions? All right. So if you guys are good, I am good. You have a good weekend. Be safe. And like I said, we'll pick up here in chapter 10 on Tuesday. Yep. So take care.
I got a quick question.
Yes, sir.
So the pretest, everything is on on MathLab, and where it's accessible now. We can get to it. There's a link to it.
Yes.
So how many chances do we get to take the test? Just one?
Two.
Two.
And then I mean, if you really about it, man, you want a third shot, I'm not averse to it. Just gotta have communication, have a conversation with me, so but normally two people, people are all right. They can get that second shot in and get a better grade, get what they really want to get on the test.
And and does it take the better of the two grades?
Yes.
It takes the better of the two.
So if you were to get a 20 on one, then get 100 on the other, all I see is the 100. Well, I can go back and look at that 20 if I want to, but all I will record is the 100.
All right. And what's the grade that we got to get? Like your grading scale again? I'm sorry.
Okay, yeah, it's a 10-point grading scale. 90 to 100 is an A, 80, 89 is a B, 70, 79 is a C. And so you really wouldn't want to go lower than a 70. That's, that gets you into D and F territory.
All right. And you said that there is a pretest that we could take that if we get a certain amount of points, then we get 5 points. What's the certain amount of points?
Yep. It is, so it's a test review, which is right here. You can't see my pointer on this, but number 9 right here says test review. So if you score 85 or better, then that's set up like a homework. So you can do an unlimited amount of tries. Okay. So if you score 85 or better, you'll get +5 added to that test.
All right, brother. That's all I got, man. I appreciate you.
All right, not a problem. You have a good one.
I do have a question.
Yes, what you got?
Did I miss this tutoring? Because I need help on this, what you just did today.
Did you miss this tutoring?
Yeah, like when does your tutoring start if anybody needs any extra help?
You just gotta shoot me an email. What do you need help on?
Everything you did today.
What you mean? I just did a whole
I wrote
lecture.
it down, but I need some extra help.
So, okay, you gotta be more specific than that. You gotta give me some
percentage and stuff. You know how like when you have to plug it into certain things, like the numbers.
That's everything. What do you mean?
Your base and stuff. Okay,
right,
so
look,
let me go back.
This is what we're gonna do. Before you do that, let's set up a plan first. You know what I mean? Okay. I like to make sure we're efficient with what we're doing and how we do it. Because you were real vague and real just general, right? So first of all, let me ask you this: how are you in chapter 2 and chapter 3?
I'm almost finished. I know I need to actually do more of my stuff, but I'm at like 90%.
Okay, so this is what I want you to. This is what I want you to do. Attack chapter 2 and chapter 3 since we have a due date out there for that. You see what I mean? Yeah. And then when you get to this chapter, this is section 10:6. Yeah. Then let's pick out some problems. I want you going home and pick out problems you want me to do. You know what I'm saying? So like, let's be strategic and start laying this thing out. Because what I don't want you to do is focus so hard on 10, and then you miss the due date on 2 and 3. You see what I'm saying? So let's do that. Let's make sure we knock out 2 and 3 first, because that should be your focus right now, because we got that due date out there. Yeah. And then because you might have some questions in that. You see what I'm saying? So let's start. Let's like, line it up, because since that happened first, let's make sure we're good with 2 and 3 stuff versus just hitting you up with a whole bunch of more information. And then when you get to this section for real, you might have questions again. You know what I mean? Or the stuff again. So yeah, let's do it like that. Since your questions are very vague, you know what I'm saying? Like, they kind of broad on this. Right. That means we might have to spend some time on it. And what I would rather you do is spend time on it when it's really the focus. You see what I'm saying? And so let's do it like that. And that don't mean I don't want to help you, but I do want you to be strategic.
No, I get what you're saying, because then I'm going to go crazy. I'm going to be like, okay, I got to try to focus, get myself together on this. Then I got to finish 2 and 3.
Right. Yeah. Because now if you had just said, yeah, because when you would talk about this problem right here, then I was like, okay, let's look at that one problem right there. Okay, yeah. And then we'll do the details in that. But when you say everything, I was like, okay, we need to sit down and line this thing
All
up.
right, all right. Oh my God, and you still recording, so everybody gonna see me.
Oh,
But
look,
we gotta
look.
do the percent and the base and the amount next time. I got it.
Yeah. So, you say you almost finished with chapter 2 and chapter 3 stuff?
Yeah. Well, chapter 2, I really have to start on 3.
Okay. So yeah, yeah, most definitely. That's how we want to attack it. So we can make sure that the time that we spend on it is best suited because you're ready for that stuff then. You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
Yeah.
Alright.
So next class, if you got questions on 2 and 3 stuff, then most definitely that's what you want to hit me with because that deadline is coming up.
Okay.
So let's focus on 2, 3 stuff, and then we'll double back and hit chapter 10 stuff.
All right. Well, thank you
All right, no problem.
for your time. Have a good day.
All right, you have a good one. Now hold on. Do you have any questions on chapter 2 or 3
No,
stuff?
I don't.
Okay. Okay. Like I said, I ain't got no problem answering, but I just want to make sure that we line you up, set you up for success. You see what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Yeah.
All right. Well,
All
thank
right,
you.
so
See
we'll
you
make
on
sure you're straight.
Tuesday.
Say again.
I'll see you on Tuesday.
Okay, sounds good. Take care. All right.